Welcome back to the future of. Today, we're exploring Zapier, a free AI automation tool that speeds up repetitive tasks. And for you, our listener, who's shared some fascinating articles on workflow optimization, we thought a deep dive into Zapier would be particularly insightful.
All right.
At its heart, Zapier is all about creating connections between the various apps you use daily, allowing them to work together automatically on those tasks that eat up your valuable time. Think of it as setting up a chain reaction. When something happens in one app, it automatically triggers an action in another.
I see.
And the really empowering part is that it's a no-code platform, meaning you can build these automations without needing any programming skills.
So absolutely.
Plus, it's free to get started, so you can begin experimenting with the core features right away.
What's fascinating, especially considering some of the pieces you sent over about the increasing need for efficiency in our digital lives, is how accessible Zapier makes automation. It used to be that only those with technical backgrounds could implement these kinds of workflows. Now anyone can essentially build their own little robots to handle repetitive digital chores.
Right.
And that free entry point is a fantastic way to just jump in and see what's possible.
Exactly. Now, when you're ready to set up one of these automated workflows, they call them zaps, which you can think of as individual automation recipes.
Okay.
You've got a few really interesting ways to go about it. Here's where it gets really interesting. One option, which feels quite cutting edge, is using an AI prompt.
AI prompt.
Zapier has a co-pilot feature in beta, where you can describe in plain language what you want to automate. And the AI will actually suggest a Zap setup for you.
Wow.
It's like having an AI brainstorming partner for your automation needs. Another great way to get started is by exploring the thousands of pre-built templates or community zaps that other users have created. These templates can offer inspiration and a quick way to implement common automations. And then, of course, you always have the option to build a zap from scratch, defining a trigger. That's the event that starts the automation.
Yeah.
And an action. That's what happens as a result of the trigger.
This variety of creation methods really speaks to different learning styles and levels of technical comfort. Something that was touched upon in one of the articles you shared about user-friendly software design. The AI prompt offers a quick, almost intuitive starting point, while the templates provide reliable solutions for frequently encountered scenarios. And building from scratch gives you that fine-grained control when you have a very specific or perhaps more complex automation in mind.
So to really bring this to life, let's walk through a practical example, something that addresses a common need mentioned in one of your notes about improving customer communication. Imagine you have a Google form on your website that you use to collect customer feedback. Every time someone submits this form, you want to automatically send them a personalized thank you email. This is a perfect illustration of how automation can free up your time and ensure no one feels ignored.
Absolutely. If you think about manually checking that feedback form and then individually crafting and sending thank you emails, it's a task that, while important, can become quite time-consuming, especially as your business grows. Automation transforms this from a reactive manual process into a proactive automatic one, ensuring consistent and timely engagement.
Okay, so the first crucial part of this zap is the trigger, the when in our automation recipe. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. It's a new response being submitted in the specific Google form that you've set up. Zapier will continuously monitor that particular form for any new entries.
What's powerful here, and it relates to the idea of set it and forget it efficiency that was discussed in one of your articles, is that once you configure this trigger, Zapier handles the ongoing monitoring for you. You don't have to constantly check for new submissions. The trigger event takes care of that automatically in the background.
Then comes the action, the what happens part.
Okay.
In our example, the action is automatically sending a thank you email. We typically use Gmail for this. Now here's where it gets a little more detailed. But it's still designed to be very user-friendly. When you're setting up the send email action, you need to tell Zapier 3 key things.
Okay.
Who should receive the email, what the subject line should be, and what the main content or body of the email should say.
And this is where the concept of dynamic data, which can really personalize the automation, comes into play. You're not just sending a generic one-size-fits-all thank you. Zapier allows you to pull in the specific information provided in the Google form submission and use it to tailor your email.
Exactly. For the recipient's email address, you obviously don't want to type in a static email.
Right.
You want the thank you to go to the person who just submitted the form. Zapier allows you to dynamically pull the email address directly from the data that was submitted. They even have this really handy / shortcut. If you're in a field where you need to insert data from a previous step, like the to field in our email setup. Typing a / will bring up a list of all the data fields that were captured by your Google Form trigger, including the respondent's email. You just select it. And Zapier intelligently uses whatever email address is in that field for each new submission.
Think of it like filling out a form yourself. Zapier is just taking the information from one part of the process, the submitted Google form, and automatically populating the relevant fields in the next part, the thank you email. This field mapping is essential for creating automations that are context-aware and truly responsive to individual actions.
And the personalization doesn't stop at the email address. You can also set a clear and concise subject line. Something like, "Thanks for your feedback," works perfectly. But the real magic happens in the email body. You can personalize it further by including dynamic values like the customer's name, which again you can pull from the Google Form data using that same / method. So your email could start with, "Hi, customer name," and Zapier will automatically insert the correct first name for each person who fills out the form. You could even include a summary of their actual feedback in the email body, showing that you've actually read and acknowledged what they wrote.
This level of personalization can significantly enhance the user experience. An automated response that feels personal and relevant is much more impactful than a generic message. It can build goodwill and strengthen customer relationships, which, as some of your sources pointed out, is crucial for long-term success.
Now, let's say you wanted to take this a step further and add some more sophistication. Zapier allows you to insert intermediate steps between your initial trigger and your final action.
Intermediate steps. Okay.
For example, they have a set of tools called Formatter by Zapier. Let's imagine your Google form has a single field where customers enter their full name. But in your thank you email, you prefer to address them by only their first name. Got it. You could use the Formatter to automatically split that full name into two separate parts. Based on the space between the first and last name. And then you could just use the first name field in your personalized greeting.
These intermediate steps are what makes Zapier so powerful for more complex workflows. They allow you to manipulate, transform, and refine the data as it moves through your automation pipeline. It's about making the data work exactly the way you need it to for each subsequent action.
And it gets even more advanced. Zapier has its own built-in AI integration called AI by Zapier.
Oh.
In our thank you email scenario.
Oh.
You could potentially use AI to analyze the customer's feedback and then generate a more tailored and thoughtful response within the email.
Okay.
So instead of just a basic "thanks for your feedback," the AI could identify key themes or sentiments in their comments and include a more relevant and personalized acknowledgement.
This integration of AI is a significant step forward in the evolution of automation. It moves beyond simply transferring data and allows for a degree of intelligent processing and response. Imagine the impact of an automated thank you that not only acknowledges receipt, but also shows a genuine understanding of the feedback provided.
Okay, let's switch gears and look at another really common automation scenario. One that addresses a point you raised about efficient document management.
Okay.
Let's say you regularly upload files, perhaps images from a photo shoot, to a specific folder in your Google Drive.
Okay.
And you need those files to be automatically converted into PDF format and then saved in a different archive folder. This kind of automation can really streamline your workflow and help keep your digital documents organized without you having to manually perform those conversion steps each time.
This is a very practical example that many individuals and businesses can relate to. Think about needing to convert invoices to PDF for record keeping or standardizing file formats across a team for consistency. Automating this not only saves a significant amount of manual effort, but also reduces the potential for human error.
So as with our previous example, the first step is to define the trigger. In this case, the app is Google Drive. And the specific trigger event we're looking for is new file and folder. You would then need to connect your Google Drive account to Zapier, which is generally a straightforward process involving granting Zapier the necessary permissions.
Security is paramount when connecting different applications, and Zapier employs robust security measures to ensure your data is protected throughout this process. You grant specific permissions that allow Zapier to access and interact with your chosen apps in a controlled manner.
Once your Google Drive account is connected, you need to configure the trigger by specifying the exact folder that Zapier should monitor for new file uploads. Let's say you create a folder in your main Google Drive called To Convert. You would select this specific folder within the Zapier trigger setup.
And here's a pro tip. Something that often contributes to more stable and reliable automations, instead of just selecting the folder by its name, which could potentially be changed in the future, it's often best practice to use the folder's unique ID. which you can find in the URL when you have the folder open in your web browser.
Nice.
This ID is a permanent identifier and makes your trigger less likely to break if you happen to rename the folder later on.
That's a really valuable insight. Zapier will then prompt you to test the trigger. Before you do this, it's essential to make sure you have at least one sample file, in our example, an image file, already present in that to convert folder. This gives Zapier something to find and use to verify that the trigger is set up correctly.
This testing phase is a critical part of building any Zap. By testing each step as you build, you can ensure that it's configured correctly and that the data being passed from one step to the next is what you expect. It helps identify and resolve any potential issues early in the process.
All right, so the trigger is successfully configured and tested. Now we move on to the first action. Converting the file to a PDF.
Okay.
Zapier integrates with a variety of file conversion services, and popular choices often include pdf.co and Cloud Convert. You would select one of these apps, and the specific action event would be something like convert file to PDF or similar.
Just like with the initial Google Drive connection, you'll likely need to connect your account with your chosen file conversion service. In some cases, this might involve obtaining a free API key from the service's website and entering it into Zapier. This API key acts as a secure credential that allows Zapier to communicate with and utilize the conversion service on your behalf.
Once the conversion service is connected, you'll need to set up the conversion action itself. The crucial piece of information here is the input file URL. You don't need to manually re-upload the image file. Instead, you instruct Zapier to use the direct link to the file that it received from the Google Drive trigger. This is another instance of mapping data between steps. You then specify PDF as the desired output format.
And mirroring the testing of the trigger, you'll want to test this conversion action as well. This will send your sample image file to the chosen conversion service and verify that it's successfully transformed into a PDF. You'll typically receive a confirmation or be able to see a sample of the converted PDF.
Excellent. So now we have a PDF version of our original file, but it's likely residing within the conversion service. Our next step is to get that PDF back into our Google Drive.
Back into Google Drive, okay.
We had another action, Google Drive.
Okay.
And this time the event we'll select is upload file.
You'll have the flexibility to choose whether you want to upload the resulting PDF to the same Google Drive account that you used for the initial trigger, or to a completely different Google Drive account if your workflow requires it.
Then you need to configure this upload action. You'll specify the destination folder in your Google Drive where you want the final PDF file to be saved. Perhaps you've created an archive PDFs folder for this purpose. And for the actual file that needs to be uploaded, you tell Zapier to use the output, the PDF file. That resulted from the previous conversion step. Again, it's all about intelligently passing the data along the automation chain.
Zapier essentially acts as a digital pipeline, seamlessly transferring and transforming data between the different applications you connect. Each step in the Zap takes the processed information from the preceding step as its input, creating a smooth and automated flow.
You also have options for customizing the file name of the uploaded PDF. You could choose to keep the original file name and simply append .pdf to it, making it clear that it's the converted version.
Maintaining consistent file naming conventions is always a good practice for efficient organization and makes it easier to track your converted documents.
Finally, you perform one last test on this upload action to confirm that the PDF file is indeed being saved correctly in your designated Archive PDFs folder in Google Drive.
Seeing that final PDF appear in the correct folder is a rewarding moment. It signifies that your entire automation workflow is functioning exactly as you intended.
And then the very last step is to give your entire Zap a clear and descriptive name, something like Image to PDF Auto Converter, and then crucially turn it on. Once it's active, every time you upload a new image to that initial to convert folder in your Google Drive, Zapier will automatically kick off the entire process in the background. It will detect the new file, send it to the conversion service, get the resulting PDF, and then save it in your archive PDFs folder, all without you needing to do anything manually.
And that, in essence, is the core value proposition of Zapier. It allows you to establish these automated workflows that run silently and efficiently in the background, freeing up your valuable time and mental energy to focus on more strategic and creative tasks.
Absolutely. And these two examples we've walked through really just scratch the surface of what Zapier is capable of. It's an incredibly versatile tool with integrations for thousands of different applications. Opening up a vast array of possibilities for automation across various aspects of your work and life. We're talking about automating lead management. By automatically adding new leads from your website forms to your CRM system, streamlining your sales pipeline. by triggering follow-up actions based on deal stages, boosting your marketing campaigns by automatically scheduling social media posts or segmenting email lists, improving your customer support by automatically creating support tickets from incoming emails, or routing inquiries to the appropriate team, efficiently managing data by automatically syncing information between different spreadsheets or databases, and even enhancing project management by creating new tasks in your project management software based on certain triggers and other apps. The potential applications really are extensive.
What makes Zapier particularly powerful, especially in today's fast-paced digital environment, is its accessibility to non-technical users. The intuitive no-code interface, the drag-and-drop builder, and now the increasing integration of AI to simplify the very creation of these automations. It's democratizing access to sophisticated automation capabilities, making them available to virtually anyone regardless of their coding expertise.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, this all sounds fantastic, but where do I even begin? I would strongly encourage you to explore Zapier's free tier. Identify just one repetitive task in your daily or weekly routine that you find yourself doing frequently, and try to automate it using Zapier. Even a small, seemingly simple automation can have a surprisingly significant impact on your overall productivity and give you back valuable time in the long run. Take a moment to think about the apps you use most often, your email, your calendar, your social media platforms, your cloud storage, and consider if there are any interactions between them that could be streamlined through automation.
That initial step of pinpointing a specific pain point or time-consuming task, and then exploring Zapier's vast library of app integrations to find a potential solution is key. Don't feel pressured to automate everything at once. Start with a single manageable automation. Get comfortable with the platform and its logic, and then gradually expand your use cases as you discover more opportunities to leverage its capabilities.
And on that thought, here's a final provocative idea for you to consider. Imagine the cumulative hours, even days, that you could potentially reclaim over the course of a year. By automating all those small, repetitive tasks that currently fragment your focus and drain your mental energy. What could you achieve with that extra time and mental clarity? It's a good question that's definitely worth exploring.